Hello. Recently we acquired a Volvo S70 year model 1999. The owner gave his last breath 6 months ago. The family doesn't have the service record for the car, so there is some work to be done. Timing belt, fluids, tune-up, brakes, etc. I start with the timing belt and first I disconnect the battery. Negative terminal disconnected. Cover bolts are missing. I have only one that fits. Two tabs release the top cover over the timing belt. And here we have the belt. Looks good, but it is 15 years old. The date stamped on it is 2009. To remove the front cover and get access to the belt, I must get the power steering reservoir out of the way. I just place it on the engine. Next is the coolant overflow tank. I disconnect this small hose. Now I must unplug this connector. There is a tab. Push to release. And the tank goes aside. The bolt holding this cover is here. Here it is. And the cover goes up and out. The belt is in good shape, but I don't take any chances. Next to remove is the serpentine belt. By turning the nut on the tensioner, I take the tension of the belt and can remove it from pulleys. The belt is in perfect shape. It will come back here after timing belt change. The front of the car is raised. The front right wheel is removed. To get access to the bottom part of the belt, I must remove this nut and lift the cover. It folds along this line here. Say hello to the crank pulley. A bungee cord holds the cover in place. A little bit of penetrant. And after a few minutes, bolts are out. Waiting for the penetrant to do its magic, I did such a holding bracket. I don't want to spin the engine counterclockwise, removing the center nut. It can cause the belt to come loose and jump teeth. No good. Turning it clockwise, we work with the tensioner and there is no such a danger. The nut is loose. Now I look for timing marks on the sprockets, which are hard to see. I mark them white. Now the top cover goes back. The top cover has two marks that we have to align with the sprockets marks. Now I turn the crankshaft clockwise to set the marks. The left sprocket mark is seen at an angle, but it is set to the mark on the cover. Here I use an inspection camera to verify the position of the timing mark on the crankshaft sprocket. Keep in mind that the crankshaft sprocket has half the number of teeth of the camshaft sprockets. All three timing marks must align. If they don't, make one more full turn. The inspection camera is not necessary here. You can see it with naked eye, but the camera doesn't pick it up, so I use the inspection camera to show you the bottom mark. This hump on the engine block must point into the groove between those two marked teeth. It is, but we see it here at an angle. Holding the pulley with my tool, I remove the central nut. I lightly tap the pulley and remove it. Notice this dowel pin which positions the wheel. Now I loosen the bolt on the belt tensioner. Using Allen hacks, I remove tension from the belt. The timing belt is off the tensioner and I remove it from the engine bay. The tensioner out. I compare it with the new one to make sure I have the right replacement part. Time for the roller. 2 bolts. Old and new. Now I drain the coolant. Actually, you can do it after disconnecting the battery and before getting to the belt. Now I undo 7 bolts holding the water pump. Be prepared for some spillage. The pump is out, but one of the bolts broke and it is stuck in the engine block. Who told you that life will be nice and easy? I made another video about successful removal. Check it out. The broken bolt is out. The threads are intact. The new pump came without bolts. So I went hunting M7 bolt in North America. Not a chance. Even in Canada. Luke 11:9. Seek and you will find. And now, warning about the water pump bolts. The old pump bolt opening sticks out higher from the engine block than the new pump bolt opening. If I use old bolts on the new pump, there will be a difference on how deep they go. Not all openings are through holes in the block. Junkyard bolts are shorter, but they will go the same depth into the block with the new pump. Imagine that I use the old long bolt with the new pump. The bolt touches the bottom, doesn't go any further. The torque wrench clicks, but the bolt's head is protruding and the pump is not pressed to the block. Not good. Therefore, I will attach the new pump using shorter bolts. Usually, I use this scraper on the aluminum to remove the old gasket. It doesn't scratch aluminum, but must be sharpened frequently. Here is the better view of the block hump between two marks. Old gasket out. Compressed air to clean the area and bolt openings. I hang a new gasket on 2 double pins. I put it dry there. The pump goes in. Thread locker on bolts. Bolts tightened in a star pattern. (17 Newton-meters) on each water pump bolt. The idler pulley in. 2 bolts, 24 Newton-meters each. The belt tensioner is eccentric. Adjusting this part, we set the belt tension. The tensioner works with the temperature. At 20 degrees Celsius, this tab should be in the middle of the fork. There is a hump on the engine block. This hump must be positioned into the slot on the back of the tensioner. As you can see here. The tensioner bolt is not tightened yet. It will be after the timing belt will be set on the sprockets and timing marks aligned. I marked positions of the cover marks on top of the cover. It is better to see this way. Timing marks in position. The left seen at an angle. Hard to reach spot. Now I put the belt on the sprockets. I start with the crankshaft, making sure the belt teeth sit properly on the sprocket. Trying to maintain tension, I route the belt around the wheels. Loosening the tensioner, I can put the belt on. When the belt is finally on, I adjust the tensioner, setting the tab to the fork and tighten the tensioner bolt. 20 Newton-meters. Here you have tensioner tab positioned at 20 degrees Celsius. Here at -20 Celsius. And here at the 50 degrees Celsius. The nut goes back on the crankshaft and I turn the engine clockwise. I make 3 full revolutions and recheck the timing mark's position. At the same time, I check if the belt is not walking off the sprockets. I had to move the left sprocket by 1 tooth to the right. Remove and reinstall the belt. Turn the engine and recheck. The nut out. Remember this dowel pin installing the pulley. The nut goes back on. My crank holding tool on and the torque wrench clicks at 180 Newton meters. The 4 bolts on the pulley tighten to 25 Newton meters. To do it, I jam the pulley using an extension between the neighboring bolt and a solid suspension element. Obviously in a crisscross pattern. Now I must tighten all 4, additional 30 degrees. Tight space, hard to use the tool. I eyeball tighten them 30 degrees. The cover goes back. The nut. The wheel. 110 Newton meters. Now the time for the front cover. The bolt. The top cover. The serpentine belt. Here is the diagram. To loop it around, one must take tension of the belt. Coolant level sensor connected. Overflow tank goes back. Power steering tank. Return hose attached. Using this opportunity, I flush the cooling system. See my other video on the subject. With coolant in, I start the engine with the top cover removed. I check if the belt stays on the sprockets. The top cover. While on the junkyard removed bolts, now go on my engine cover. See my other video about broken bolt removal, and another about coolant flush and tune-up. Till next time.